What's going on, everybody? We are live. I'm Adam. This is a highly articulated Northern Outpost debrief. I am so excited. Anybody that knows me knows that the Vamp is my favorite G.I. Joe vehicle. So to get the G.I. Joe classified Vamp is a pretty big deal for me. I backed the Hiss tank. I backed the Dragonfly. I have the RAM, I have the coil. I love the vehicles. I'm all about the playability. Having the figures is one thing, and I say this all the time. I'm not a collector. I'm just somebody that buys a whole bunch of toys. So getting the toy that for me is kind of the most iconic GI Joe vehicle, and I know that not everybody is going to agree. I know that some people. There's a lot of Cobra guys that will say that the Hiss is the most iconic vehicle. But for me personally, growing up watching the cartoon, the Vamp felt like it was always there. It was sort of always prevalent. One of the first vehicles that I had that I absolutely loved. I didn't get in as early as I would have liked to G.I. Joe just because of my age. But I had the Tiger Sting, I think is what it was called, which was like the Tiger Force Vamp. And when I learned that there was the Stinger and the original Vamp, I was like, man, this is like the coolest vehicle. So to me, getting the Vamp is like the biggest, best news that I could get as a classified collector. And to get that news, knowing that the Hiss is like pretty much on its way, man, I am so excited, and I'm so pumped to get the Vamp. I think they said May 2024 as the ship date. When was the last time one of those ship dates kind of came and went? I think we would. I think it's safe to say at this point that we may see that sooner than May 2024, which is amazing. Now, when will we see it? I don't know. I do have some kind of insider information. I don't know the shipping date on the Vamp, unfortunately. On my last episode of Highly Articulated, which was on Sunday, we were talking a little bit and sort of speculating what we might see at 1027, and I intentionally wore this T-shirt because this is my Manny's Mean Machines clutch and vamp T-shirt. I knew that we were getting the vamp on 1027, and we did, and I was hyped, and I got my order in for a couple of those. So we're going to talk a little bit about the vamp. We'll talk about some of the details, some of the cool stuff about that release, and we're going to talk about some of the MCM London reveals. There's only 2 of them, so this video is going to be pretty short. I'll be totally honest. It's Saturday night. Most people are probably busy doing cool stuff, so it's just us hardcore nerds hanging out on a Saturday night talking about GI Joes. So on that note, let's check in with the chat, see what's going on. Smiler67 says, let's chat, yo Joe. D Blake Makes, what's going on, man? Happy to have you here. Very, very excited to get some signage for some of my shelves. I got the GI Joe and the Cobra sign coming. I got the X-Men one right there. You can see I got my X-Men one here. Let me just, my X-Men one's there. My other ones, where are my other ones? Somehow they're not on the shelf. Anyway, my intention is to like redo these shelves after Legion's Con and pretty much have like one on every shelf just about. So if you guys aren't familiar with D Blake Makes, check him out on Instagram. He does really, really cool signage. It's, treat your shelf and just make your shelves look dope with some D Blake Makes shelf decorations. Luke Poulin is here. Happy Saturday. Let's talk vamp. I've played so much with it as a kid. That's exactly it, man. Like it's just such a, I know that it's like a nondescript vehicle in some ways. Like it's just a Jeep, right? Like that's kind of the counter argument for me saying it's iconic, is like, it's just a Jeep. It's not really that exciting, but it's so versatile. And it's like, because it's just a Jeep, because there was nothing flashy, there's no gimmicks, nothing like that. It stands out to me as like just the GI Joe vehicle, right? So Antonio says, I think Walmart is the only place where they still honor the release dates. That I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. I never know when the release dates are, to be honest. I see May 2024 and I'm like, oh, that's a thing. They're just gonna say that, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything. It doesn't feel like. D Blake Makes us, they're coming. I'm not, no stress, man. I know you'll have them ready for Legion's Con, and I can't wait to pick them up. So very much looking forward to that. All right, let's get into it. 1027. Hasbro did their 1027. It was all pre-recorded, and I think it was about an hour and a half. I am not a Pulse Premium member, so I managed to get the video link, and the video link that I got was like the UK link. So I actually watched it before the actual time that it was supposed to be on, and I had already kind of seen the vamp by the time that it was live, but it was never live. I don't know. Anyway, but I was just like waiting for the production pictures. I was waiting for the release. Like I said, I'm not a Pulse Premium member, so I had to wait with all the other pours, for the, what was it, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. I was still at work, so it was no big deal. I sit at a computer all day. I was able to just get my order in. I had the window up, the cart open, all that kind of stuff. I was just waiting, and it's still not sold out. So I think a lot of people were a little bit concerned. It's Pulse exclusive. Is it going to sell out before I even get the chance to order one? All of the things that people talk about when they kind of talk about how like Hasbro is evil and whatever. Not my jam. I mean, I get my order in, I wait for my toys, and that's it. I've never had an issue getting anything from Pulse. I've never had an issue getting an order in from Pulse. I have admittedly, taken the time and sort of made connections with people so that, if it's a Pulse exclusive thing that I'm worried that I might not be able to get as a non-Pulse premium member, I usually have people that kind of reach out and they're like, hey, do you want me to pick you one up? Or if it's a retailer exclusive or what have you, and I say this all the time, and I'm going to say it again. You can kind of counteract the sort of corporate badness with like human goodness, right? Make friends, make connections, chat with people, let people know that you love the vamp, let people know that you love Metalhead or Mutton Junkyard or whatever, right? They're gonna come up later. Just be nice. Be nice, and the world will probably reward you. I'm not gonna say it's karma because I'm not Buddhist. I'm pretty sure that's a Buddhist thing. Whoever the karma thing, be nice, and people will be nice to you. That's all I'm saying. Also, well, we'll get there. I'm gonna talk about kind of my workaround for the shipping charge, but Antonio says, recently the Pulse exclusives have been sitting for a while, so I'm not too worried about the vamp. I'm going to try and wait for them to announce more Pulse exclusives so that I can lump it in on one order to save on the terrible shipping. Yes, okay, because you've said that, Antonio, I am going to sort of give my 2 cents on that. There were other Pulse exclusives that I kind of wanted but wasn't willing to pay the amount of shipping that was required for like one item. Believe it or not, I really want that Black Series Christmas Ewok, the white Ewok with the blue. Man, I love Ewoks, and I love gimmicky Christmas stuff, and so I wanted that little Christmas Ewok. The Holocom Black Series Mandalorian is a Pulse exclusive as well, and I was like, I love translucent figures, and I love Mandalorian figures, so I'd like to get that one as well. So what I did is I actually had those in my cart and I just sort of sat and waited. And if I ordered one of those figures, it's like $20 US to ship to Canada. If I order 2 of those figures, it's like $22 US to ship to Canada. If I wait until the vamp goes up for pre-order and then put 2 of those in my cart, plus the Ewok, plus the Mandalorian, I'm looking at $30 US to ship. That being said, I don't know if the releases that we're going to get on Tuesday are going to be Pulse exclusive or not. If they are, what I will basically do is on Tuesday morning, I will create a cart with the Christmas Ewok, with the Holocron Mandalorian, with 2 vamps. And then as soon as those new ones go up, I will add them to that cart. I will submit that cart, and then I will cancel the old order. It may bump me in the line, right? I may get my vamps a day or 2 later by doing it that way, but the shipping will remain at $29.99 US dollars. So for all the people that are like, oh, if I buy a vamp, I don't want to pay, $30 to ship it. I'm like, okay, we'll get together with 2 other people or 3 other people or 10 other people. Order 10 vamps. Pay $30 shipping. You're each paying $3 to ship the dang thing. There's workarounds, is all I'm saying. Like, if you don't like the shipping, figure out how to make it manageable. It just, my last Pulse order, and I'm going to see if I can remember all the things that I ordered in my last Pulse order. 2 Trouble Bubbles, Tripwire. I'm trying to think of all the things that works. Wait. Why don't I just bring up my last Pulse order and then I can just tell you what I ordered? Because I did the same thing. I just kept adding to it every time they announced something new. Basically, as long as they don't ship the first item, you can just keep and things don't sell out. I'll say that. But recently on Pulse, things haven't been selling out very quickly. Okay, so my last Pulse order that allowed me to get that $30 shipping. I got Snow Job, Valkyries, 2 Trouble Bubbles, Tripwire, the Hiss 788 Fire Team, I probably could have got Chuckles on there, but I didn't want to risk it. I left Chuckles on a separate order. But I got all those. Like, in each one of those things was like a different order that I just stacked them, right? I just stacked them all in the same order. And as I said, unless the items sell out, you can do that. They don't really seem to care. It's you just go in there and cancel it. Doesn't seem to affect the orders whatsoever. So, like I said, there are workarounds. There's ways to sort of get. I live in Kelowna, and I don't always have people that want to order with me. So I just that's my workaround. You know, if you're in a bigger sort of collector community, like I said, get together with 3 or 4 people and just everybody order one, and you break that shipping across a few. I also am like, you're never going to get it cheaper than retail. You do sometimes, but that's my sort of thinking. I'm never going to get it cheaper than retail. So get it, worry about that stuff later. If in a week, I lose my job or whatever, some expense comes up, I can just cancel the order. It's not the end of the world. So that's my 2 cents on shipping. That's a lot more than 2 cents, though, I think, wasn't it? That's about $29.99 worth of my cents of shipping. Tyler says, when I got access to buy as a premium member, I was blown away that you could buy so many. I could have bought 6, so it wasn't going to sell out. Yeah, I think that's true. I think with this item, it's an interesting thing about that, which we'll come back to in a bit as well, about it being a Pulse premium item, or being a Pulse exclusive item, but still not selling out. I think there's something going on there, and again, it's a hypothesis. I don't know anything about this, but when we get there, we'll talk about it. I'm just going to catch up on the chat here. Star is here. Jeff Morris is hanging out. Antonio says, yeah, that's the gamble that I'm doing too. I'm waiting for the 788 Techno Viper SMS set before I order the Vamp. Yeah, that set looks cool. I want the SMS. I don't even want that Techno Viper. I'll be perfectly honest. I want the regular release Techno Viper. I don't even want that 788 Techno Viper. But okay, so there's a few Facebook user comments here. Now, if you are a Facebook user, go to streamyard.com/Facebook. And then you'll just have to click a little button, and then I'll know who's talking to me. Because this is how it comes up on my screen. It says Facebook user. And I don't know if these are the same people, but it just says Facebook user. It says, so buy 2. And then it says, I stack orders to make it work for me. I just order the ones I want. And if I can lump them together, all the better. I waited too many times and almost missed out, like with the Televiper. Fair enough. And that's what I'm saying. Get the order in. I'm saying get the order in. And if you need to change your order, and if you can change your order, do that. But I don't like to risk missing out on something that I really want with that gamble. I'm just saying that that's the workaround sometimes, and it's worked for me. It doesn't always work. Like I said, it can sell out. So my advice is, and this is me sort of all the time, buy it when you see it, right? When it's available, put your order in. If there's the opportunity, a day later or 2 days later when they announce something else, to add something to that, and you can stack it, and you can sort of put in a new order with more items but the same shipping, do that. Cancel your old order. But get your order in when you can, because it does happen every once in a while. It happened with the Trouble Bubbles. I know it happened with the Eels. It does happen with some things. So get your order in. Worry about the workaround later. That's my advice. Luke Poulin says, I'm in a group in Gatineau, Ottawa. We ordered together to save on shipping. For 1 vamp, it is $26.99. We ordered 6 vamps and it was $29.99. So $5 shipping each. Like I said, be nice, connect with people. That's exactly what I'm saying. And I'm jealous of anybody that has a group where there's like 6 people that want to buy a vamp, because that's everybody that orders one, brings your costs down. So that's pretty cool. Antonio says that's the exact same Pulse order that I did, but I did get Chuckles with my order. Dang it. I ordered 2 Chuckles and I paid $30 shipping on it, but you guys know how much I love Chuckles. So like I said, I didn't want to risk it. I didn't want to like worry. As soon as I got it in the cart, I finished that order and I did not mess with it. My Chuckles is going to be here on Tuesday. So AI Collectibles is here. What is going on, Aaron? AI says you can cancel individual items on a Pulse order too. Yes, you absolutely can. So, you know, if you think you want 3 vamps, order 3, and then you can adjust it down to 2 or 1 or whatever. So, Antonio, I really wish places like GameStop, Toy Snowman, and eCollectibles could be more reliable for these Pulse exclusives. They keep getting them randomly, and I know it's not their fault. Well, that's the thing. It's not on them that it's the reliability of these products. Like it's basically if Hasbro doesn't sell through as many as they want, they'll reach out to these retailers. Now, the problem with the Pulse exclusives is that some of them make it to Canada and others don't. So what retailers like eCollectibles are getting is what Toys R Us or Walmart or GameStop basically doesn't take. It's the Vamp, to the best of my knowledge, is a Pulse exclusive, and I don't think we're going to see it anywhere else. And as soon as I catch up on the chat, I will talk about that point because it's an interesting one, and I think it's an interesting move on the part of Hasbro, if what I've heard is true. AI says that was me. I am the Facebook user. Kayla says, smack that like button. Jeff Morris, maybe I should change my YouTube name to Facebook user. Just a mess. Yes, but then you would also have to like get your avatar to be the Facebook F, because otherwise you'd have to change your avatar as well, because your avatar still comes up. Another Facebook user says, a guy at GameStop that gets everything ordered as they are announced for me. He had the Crimson set waiting, but I passed on the repaints. Shows he was able to get an exclusive. Well, they get some of the exclusives. That's what I'm saying. There doesn't appear to be any like rhyme or reason to what they're getting. And that was a Pulse Con exclusive. So like, I don't know, because they didn't get the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Chuckles, as far as I know. They did get the Pulse Con exclusive Crimson Strike team. So I don't know like which ones get filtered through which channels and who gets what and like when it gets released and all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to spend time on that. So like I said, buy it when you see it. Get your order in when you can. AI said my first Chuckles has a super loose ab crunch. Now I want to open my second to see if it has the same issue. I haven't heard anything about an ab crunch issue, so it might be a one-off. But who knows? Okay, so the Vamp as a Pulse exclusive. What I heard, a little birdie told me that this is a move on Hasbro's part. When people talk about like, well, why didn't they release it at retail? Why didn't they release it to fan channels and so on and so forth? What I heard was this is Hasbro's attempt to basically manage the inventory themselves. They don't want this to get to a retailer that then maybe can't move them and maybe discounts them within a week. When you hear about like Ollie's in the US selling Crimson Guards for like $5, or Walmart in Western Ontario selling Grunt for $15, like a week after people have started receiving them, I think Hasbro is trying to curb that by holding some products as exclusives, even though there's tons of quantity, even though there are tens of thousands of Vamps available. and there will be for an extended amount of time. They're going to hold the line on the pricing, just to kind of keep the perceived value there, if that makes sense. Like I said, I don't know if that's 100% true. That's just sort of like a rumor mill thing, but it makes perfect sense to me. They're not, they're going to hold the stock. And so that way, if they decide to do them at a discounted price, they will, but it's not going to be discounted, the day after people get it in hand, which I think is actually a pretty smart move, because I think there's a lot of pushback from collectors saying, like, where are these figures coming from? These discount figures coming from? Why are they flooding the market with this stuff? It must mean that, Crimson Guards aren't selling or whatever. Crimson Guard, I don't know anybody that didn't get a Crimson Guard. So it's, when people say that, I'm sort of like, maybe they just made a literal boatload of them, and they need to make room for the vamps. That's what I think. They've said, Hasbro has said, the GI Joe brand team has said that they basically are releasing 1 year worth of product in a 6-month time frame. I just suspect that, like, the SKU that's performing the worst, they'll just get it out of the warehouse to make room for the next SKU. It is what it is. I mean, I work in retail, and I know that a lot of distributors, a lot of manufacturers are dumping product right now because they just don't have the room for it. They would rather take a loss than have to sit on the inventory. So I really do believe that sort of holds some weight, and I do think that's entirely possible. Facebook user says, yeah, suck to see the USA retailers selling for pennies compared to Canada. Yes, but healthcare. So, I mean, I'll take the prices that we pay on some things for the trade-off on other things, which, is not, I'm not about to get into any sort of debate on politics or anything like that. I'm just saying, I think we have it pretty good here. I'm not really that worried about what pops up in an Ollie's here or a Target there or whatever. I'm good. The figures are great, and that's what I'm worried about. So I'm hoping they don't do the same thing that they did with the Televipers Trouble Bubble and repaint the Vamp and Tiger Force colors or something and release them for $10 less. The $10 less on that Trouble Bubble, the G.I. Joe brand team said, was a mistake. There was an error. There was a clerical error, and by the time they caught it, now I don't know if this is true or not, but this was from the G.I. Joe brand team saying this on a Full Force podcast interview. They said they hadn't realized that the pricing had gone out wrong, and by the time everything was said and done, the deal had been struck, and it just, that's the way it was. I don't think we'll see that. Now, I do hope that we see the Vamp in Tiger Force colors. I think there's a really good chance we do, and if there is, I'm buying one of those as well. Like I said, the Vamp is my favorite, and I bought 2 of the traditional, the Clutch and Vamp that they've just released. I ordered 2. I would order 2 Stingers, I think, probably. And then, if they do a version 2, I would get 1. If they do the Tiger Force version, I would do 1. If they did a Dreadnoks version, I would do 1. So 2 Vamps, 2 Stingers, and then 1 of the rest, and I'm good. But I'm also at the point where, just in terms of the Vamp, or just in terms of vehicles, sorry, just in terms of G.I. Joe vehicles, I was just about to say, I think I'm good on G.I. Joe vehicles, and then I immediately thought of like 2 or 3 others that I'm like, well, I'd probably buy that one too. But my point is, after 2 Hiss Tanks, 2 Dragonflies, 2 Vamps, 2 Trouble Bubbles, a whole bunch of coils, a couple Rams, I'm going to run out of space for G.I. Joe vehicles in a 6-inch scale. Real quick, especially once it starts shipping, I'm going to be in trouble. Jeff Morris, it sort of makes sense. I like to get stuff on sale, but do understand trying to not have all the stock hit ollies. That's exactly it. You know, I don't think they want the brand to be devalued in that way. I think it happens sometimes, but I think with an item like the Vamp, I think it's actually really smart, like to just hold on to it and just keep it almost like an evergreen item. Like even if it's available from Pulse for the next year, they're not really losing out. You know what I mean? Um, maybe people can't afford it right now, right? Maybe they backed the Ghostbusters thing and they can't buy a Vamp at the same time. But maybe in 2 months or 3 months, you know, maybe they get a Christmas bonus and they come back and get a Vamp. Maybe their income tax return in the new year comes in and they can get a Vamp, whatever the case may be. I think it makes sense. I think it's one of those things that just kind of like, you know, figures maybe less so because it's you know, you want the newest release and all that kind of stuff. But a vehicle, I think I think a vehicle sort of has a longer shelf life. So, you know, maybe that's the way they're going. Um, yeah, AI says, keep them coming. I'm all in. Other stuff is getting sold off to make room. I'm selling stuff off too. Luke Poulin, I sold something to Luke Poulin today. I'm going to sell off a bunch of vintage stuff, vintage G.I. Joe stuff. I gotta sell some other, like, just I got stuff that I gotta make room. I gotta make room for these vehicles, and so I'm trying to actively do that. I was taking pictures of stuff today. I gotta start posting more stuff. But Antonio says I'm already running out of space. Doesn't help that I always have that McFarlane monster truck for the Dreadnoks and a custom his tank. Yes. Star, as soon as I read this first part, Star says, I can't afford to be me. I'd want to have enough to make a typical squad that would normally be used in any given op. Cobra can afford it. I can't. Star, I also know that you're a completist. So when you sort of go down that rabbit hole, you're sort of all in. So Facebook user, and we got our Halo walkers. Yep, a lot of people did that. A lot of people did the what's it called, the XR15 or whatever from the Buzz Lightyear movie. People modded those. AI says, I have no regrets getting them on day one. The discount stuff is hit or miss still. I'd rather pay a full price than miss out to save a couple bucks. Exactly, that's right where I'm at. I would rather get my order in for 2 Vamps and pay $30 shipping than I would, you know, hold out and maybe add another item or two. Because it's one of those things where honestly, you know, you wait and then the Vamp sells out and then it never goes on discount, and you know, and then you're like, oh man, I can't believe I missed that. For the $10 or $15 one way or the other for shipping. Buy it when you see it, right? Luke, glad I was able to help you pay for a Vamp. Full disclosure, Luke, you're helping me pay for Cyberzoic. And if you guys don't know what Cyberzoic is, look it up. Cyberzoic has a Kickstarter going on right now. It's dope. It's really cool stuff. Star, guilty. Star, I appreciate having you in the chats. I appreciate you. I appreciate the steadiness of your. Like I said, as soon as you said, I can't be me, I knew exactly where that was going to be going. So, Batman bikes, yeah, a lot of people did those as well, right? That Batman Bat Cycle got custom painted. I just bought a few extra coil cycles and took them apart, and I've not done anything with them since. I took them apart. They're sitting in a bin. I think the bin's down in my kind of painting and dios area. I took them apart. I know what I want to do with them. Just never got around to it. So, all right, let's take a look at the Vamp because we haven't yet. And I have the technology to do that. So let's do that. This thing looks awesome, doesn't it? I mean, I don't think I've heard anybody yet say that, they weren't like excited about, this vehicle. Like, what's not to love, right? What's not to love? We get Clutch with the Vamp. We get an iconic figure. He was in the TV show a bunch. The Vamp is, feel free to disagree with me, but the Vamp to me is the most iconic vehicle that the G.I. Joe team has. The Hiss Tank may be more iconic, but I think the Vamp for G.I. Joes is the G.I. Joe vehicle. You guys agree with me or disagree with me? If you're watching, let me know. If you're watching the replay, feel free to let me know in those comments. If you think there is a more iconic G.I. Joe vehicle, let me know. The only one that you might be able to convince me of is the tank. But I think the argument there is weak because I think the argument is because it was on the cover of issue 1 of the comic book. Not everybody read the comic book. So that's my counter argument to that. I'm just saying. So we get a figure plus vehicle, $99.99. I think that's an absolutely ridiculous price. When you consider that the figure itself is going to be $25, you're basically looking at $75 for that vehicle. Now, I don't think that they said that it has rubber tires, but I definitely think it has rubber tires because just the way that they look, they didn't look plastic. And if it is plastic, it's like a soft durometer of plastic. They also said that you could take the tires off of the rims, which makes me think that they've got to be rubber because you're not going to get plastic off of plastic. That just doesn't typically work. Rubber off plastic, no problem. You get suspension. You get all that detail in the dash. You get, the decals. You get the removable engine. You get the removable lights, the removable handle bits. It's got a windshield now, which I think is really, really cool, which flips down. So when you got a gunner in the passenger seat, you can flip that down so that he can shoot out the front end. What's not to love? I mean, the Clutch figure is also like just an absolutely banging figure, in my opinion, as a character that I love. So when the classified line started, I had a long list of my like need figures and my want figures. Clutch was the last figure on my need list. So as far as classified is concerned, once I get Clutch in hand, my needs list is complete. Now it's just wants, and my want list is very, very short at this point, admittedly. I think there's about a dozen figures left on my want list. My need list is all checked off. So, but what are you guys saying about the Vamp? Antonia says, I honestly think at $100, that's pretty fair. I expected 130. I think a lot of people expected 130. I knew it was going to be $100, and I couldn't say anything because the information wasn't mine to share. And everybody that I talked to, that had heard, rumors or speculate, anybody that speculated was like, oh yeah, okay. The Serpentor in the air chariot was like $80. The Hiss was, what was the Hiss? $280, $300, whatever it was. People were like, oh, it's got to be like, 130, 150. And I was like, it's not going to be 150. It's going to be super affordable. AI says, you can't beat that price for what you get, right? I mean, in this scale with this amount of detail, this thing is just, it's so good. It's so good. And they added suspension. Like, this is cooler than the vintage one. If it was bare bones like vintage, I would have been okay with it. But they've done so much to make this thing so cool. Jeff, I like the Vamp more than the Hiss. So do I. I think they're the two most iconic, you know, for GI Joe and Cobra. And I'm happy to have both of them. But like I said, but beyond that point, like I think I've heard a rumor, which I don't think is true, because I hadn't heard about it until recently. I heard a rumor that they would do a HasLab Rattler. I don't think they're going to. I wouldn't buy it. It would be too big. It wouldn't be something that I would be interested in. Now, like I said, there is a few more vehicles that I would get. I would get the Thunder Machine. I would get a couple Skyhawks. And then, you know, there's some like smaller vehicles that I would certainly consider. An Awe Striker would be another one that I would consider. AI says the Mobat. Yeah, like I said, the Mobat is pretty iconic because it was on the cover of issue 1. But I mean, it's iconic in a way, but I don't think it's as iconic as the Vamp. I genuinely don't. I think the Sky Striker is the Joe's most iconic vehicle. I think yeah, I'll give you that. I mean, now my counter for that is that it's an F-14 Tomcat. And so like my counter argument is it's an iconic looking plane, but do people identify that first as a Sky Striker or first as an F-14? Like if you just saw one displayed and it didn't have GI Joe logos, would somebody go, "Oh, that's a Sky Striker," or would they say that's an F-14? That's where that one I think loses a little bit. But like I said, it's 100% opinion. What do I know? Star says, I really don't know much about anything. I figured with a name like Vamp that it's a Cobra vehicle. It is not a Cobra vehicle. It is a GI Joe's sort of everyday. It's their daily driver, really. Tyler says, totally agree. It's Vamp all the way. The tank looks like standard military vehicle. Vamp looked like something more. That's what I'm saying is that I know that the Vamp is based on like a Lamborghini prototype vehicle. I know that it's based on a real world thing. But the Mobat and the Sky Striker, to me, lose some of the like iconic nature by being things that kind of just exist. Facebook user says, price is fair. Figure and a real beefy vehicle, $99 is fine. Yeah, exactly. Star says, looks like an updated version of Rat Patrol. I don't know what Rat Patrol is, but sure. This opens the door for the Armadillo at $99. The Armadillo, I don't think I would buy, but I also don't think that it would have to be $99. I think the Armadillo could be cheaper. I think we could get an $80 Armadillo. I think what this does is it sort of sets the bar for smaller vehicles like the Armadillo to be in the $60 to $80 range. Personally, that's my opinion, and I hope that comes to fruition. Luke says $299 for the Hiss. Yeah, which I thought was very, very fair for what we got. Jeff Morris, I think 100 is fair. Of course, I would like it cheaper, but looking at it, I think the price is fair for what you get. Yes. Yeah, me too. Star says, my buddy and I still fantasize about mounting quad 50s in the back of his Jeep. This is just plain cruel. Yeah, if you're in GI Joe, you can get away with that. If you're just a civilian, I think it's frowned upon. I would not advise it. Facebook users think the price is that low due to how many repaints they will be able to do. Yes. Like I said, I think this is an iconic enough vehicle. Plus, you can do the Stinger. Plus, you can do the Tiger Sting. Plus, you could do the Mark II. They could do, like I said, they could do the Dreadnought one as well. You could get 5, 6, 7 repaints out of this, and a lot of people would buy them. I genuinely believe that at this price point, I think a lot of people would buy them, especially if they come with a figure, because I think it's a price point that doesn't scare people anymore, if that makes sense. You know, when you buy a wave of these figures, when you pre-order a wave of these figures, you're spending more than that. So I hear they are coming to USA shores so soon for the Hiss. They're already the Hiss has landed. The Hiss is in the US. My understanding is that they're basically sort of waiting for a threshold of enough of them so that once they start shipping them out, nobody's order is going to get delayed. That's my understanding. So we could see it in the next couple weeks easily. Let's see. I'm gonna have to skip a couple comments here. Star says the early TV show Rat Patrol with Christopher George just after something. I feel old. Yeah, I don't know. I do not know what Rat Patrol is. I don't even know who Christopher George is. So I feel young. Thank you for that. That doesn't happen very often. All right, let's move on to this because 100% AI says, now what about the ferret in the background? I mean, I think the cat's out of the bag, right? Now, it doesn't necessarily, like, there it is, right? The ferret's there. The ferret is in the box art as well. Here, let me just, my crappy screen. We're not going to be able to get the pictures big enough, but we go through. There's the engine, right? Like I said, the engine comes out. It's got a winch. It's got the little sort of toe things on the front there. Burying the helmet, like that's got to be the darkest promo picture that we have seen for G.I. Joe Classified so far. Maybe the mole rats, just because they're like zombified, but I mean that's pretty dark. As I said, the detail on that dashboard looks absolutely phenomenal. There you get that 60th anniversary figure with the windshield down, which is looking pretty cool. We get in this picture, I'm pretty sure, like initially I thought maybe that's the Stinger driver in the background there, but I'm pretty sure that's just going to be the ferret driver, like the figure that comes with the ferret. Let's skip ahead to the package because that's where we see right there, right in the background. They're not even trying to hide it. The ferret. So what's, I guess, you know, what's the over under on how soon we get the ferret, right? Like, will we get the ferret within the next sort of window of hold on one sec here. Will we get the ferret on the next window of pre-orders? I don't think so. Will we get it within the next few months? I could see that. Again, I think they're sort of pumping this stuff out at a rate that is admittedly hard to keep up with. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I can't wait. I'll buy a couple of those too. I'll buy a couple ferrets because that's like the perfect size, right? You get a couple figures on there too. So the playability on those smaller vehicles, you know, I got 3 kids. They enjoy the G.I. Joes. We're going to play with them out in the yard. Shout out to Ken Poe. I was talking to him. I told him I was buying 2 vamps. He said, why 2? I said, why not? And he said, oh, you're getting 1 for trade bait. I said, no, I'm getting 2 because I'm going to play with them in my yard, and I need 2 of them to play properly. Alberto is here. What's going on, Alberto? Joey McKay. I have 1 figure who's on both my want list and my need list. I'm really hoping he comes with the ferret, and that is Xandar. I don't think Xandar will come with the ferret. I do think we will get Xandar. I think there's no chance that we don't get Xandar. And I mean, at the rate that we're going with Dreadnoks too, right? It was a little slow, you know, to begin with. We got Zartan, we got Zorana. We're getting Torch and Ripper, right? Do I get that right? I never remember their names. I'm not a Dreadnought guy. Forgive me. We're getting Torch and Ripper. Buzzer, is Buzzer a name only reveal? And then it's sort of like Monkey Wrench, Thrasher, Xandar. Like, those are the main ones, right? So if we get one every 3 to 6 months or so, I could see us getting Xandar in 2024. That would be my guess. But Star says, I guess they're not big on subtlety. I'm sure no one's going to notice a bright purple and red attack vehicle charging through the bush. Yeah, it looks 100% vintage inspired. It's that really vibrant blue of sort of the first release of the vintage one. The figure looks to be unique, which is interesting. I saw that there's some speculation that the figure will be based on like some original art, like before the Ferret was a G.I. Joe vehicle. It was called the Python. Like, I think they just called it the Python Patrol vehicle. But Alberto says 2 vamps minimum, and have a Vanguard to beat things up. That Vanguard, nothing against anybody that likes the Vanguard. It's too big for me. It's too, like, it just, the proportions feel off. It just feels too big for me personally, preference wise. It looks dope, but yeah. Okay, moving on to sort of the next piece of news that we, of course, got just today, very, very early today. MCM London came out with some news. Now, I'm going to share from the Full Force Podcast Facebook. So I don't know where these pictures came from. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you know where they came from. And I'm not going to go over all of them, but I'm just going to bring up the post here, and then we will we'll take a look at the post and the pictures in the post, and if this will, why won't it? There it is. Okay. There we go. We're right back where we started. Okay, so these are pictures from MCM London. These are the sort of physical reveals of, it says strictly confidential at the bottom. Can you see? You see that at the very bottom of the picture says strictly confidential. For who? I mean, who didn't think that these were going to be shared everywhere? So we got the physical reveals of Metalhead and Mutt and Junkyard. We had our first glimpse at the packaging. The rumor is, and this isn't 100% confirmed by any source that I sort of am aware of, but the rumor is that the pre-orders for Metalhead and Mutt and Junkyard is going to be on Tuesday. So we got the Vamp on Friday. We're going to get Metalhead, Mutt and Junkyard on Tuesday. So this falls under that sort of thing where I ordered my Vamps and those other figures. If these are Pulse exclusives, I'm going to be stacking my order, and I'm going to do, I'm hoping those Vamps stay in stock until Tuesday, pending this. I'm genuinely hoping that these are standard releases. My understanding was that they were. If that's the case, I'm just going to order these from eCollectibles.ca and be over the moon that I don't have to change any orders. I don't have to worry about more shipping or anything like that. So let's take a look at some of these pictures. Like, how cool does this look with, everything out? Doesn't he kind of look like, what was the baddie in, what did he call himself in the first Ant-Man movie? Hornet? Is that what the sort of the other guy was? When he had those kind of like talons. He also kind of gives me a little bit like of the Spider-Man vibe with it has, the mechanical legs. Now those are like missiles and blast effects, but it kind of looks like that just because. Yellow Jacket. Thank you, Joey. I see your comment there. But this guy looks dope. Metalhead was on my want list, big time on my want list, and I know that Metalhead isn't for everyone. I know that Metalhead, being from the like the Deke cartoon series, and sort of having to say bang every time you launch a missile isn't for everybody, but I actually genuinely like it. I think it's just like I think he's just sort of like a funny character, and for me personally, he's rad. Like, he's just a really, really cool character. I love the loadout. I love that he's got all those missiles. I love that you can kind of point him in different directions and so on and so forth. He's going to be an absolute blast to have as an action figure. And then on his little collar thing, it says Cold Slither. There's like the cool little detail there. So, Facebook user, the Ferret was my first Cobra vehicle, same year as the twins. Nice, nice, nice. I bet you're going to pick it up then. Jeff Morris, the Vanguard is based on a real vehicle, but I agree it is definitely a big vehicle and not for everyone. I know that it's based on a real vehicle. It's based on the Rezvani. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. The Rezvani vehicle, but it still seems too big. Like, it seems like 5% bigger than it should be, and maybe it's not, but it seems awkwardly big to me. I don't know how to describe it in any other way, but yeah, I don't know. It's a cool looking vehicle, but when I've seen the figures loaded in there, the figures look small compared to the vehicle, if that makes sense. Now, maybe that's what the vehicle looks like, but it looks weird to me. Luke says, yes, they are Tuesday, and I think they're fan channel exclusives. I will order them from DJC. If they're fan channel, that's awesome. That means I can get them from Mike, and they can get boxed up with all the other stuff I'm getting from Mike. And that's good news. I hope that's true. Jeff Morris, Metalhead is a great action figure, but an annoying character. Yes. No, I agree with you on the first part, not the second part. I think the annoying part of Metalhead is what I find charming about Metalhead. Okay, let's jump back in here. Let's get through a few more of these pictures. There we have Mutton Junkyard. Absolutely awesome. I'm really excited to get another articulated animal companion. Junkyard looks really, really good. I'm hoping that vest will slide off. That way I can get 2 of them and have like business Junkyard and casual Junkyard. No, I just want to have 2 because why not? The loadout looks, oh, whoops, I went too far. The loadout looks really good. I like that he looks like such a good boy in that picture with the alternate head, like the smile, that Rottweiler smiling face with the tongue out. Like, they just look like they're smiling, So I'm really, really excited to get both of these. And I'm very, very happy that we will see them as fan channel releases, because I think that's the way to do it. I think that's the way to do most G.I. Joe stuff, if I'm being perfectly honest. People kind of complain about, I can't find it in Walmart or whatever. Okay. I order everything online because I'm old, and it's fun to find things in store. Don't get me wrong. I love to find things on the shelf, on the peg, what have you. But it's so much nicer to not have to worry about whether or not I will find things. I save my like in-store, in-hand hunting for like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Mutant Mayhem figures, where if I don't ever find them, it'll be fine. And I did find them. I'm just saying, like, that's the things that I'll hunt. I don't want to miss out on Mutton Junkyard. I don't want to miss out on a Vamp. I don't want to miss out on Metalhead. So day one orders, I'm good to go. The day Hasbro releases a new version of the Hummer, I'll buy Joe's again. I don't think that they're going to do a version of the Hummer. I think the Vamp is the closest thing you're going to get. Joey, I found Metalhead a great character on the cartoon, but as an action figure as a kid, I had trouble getting his backpack launcher to stay in place, so that was annoying. Yeah, he had that backpack that like the missiles had to slide up, and yeah, they get stuck, and they it wasn't ideal, but yes, AI, very good point. The window packaging is back, and this is sort of the last thing we're going to talk about, and then we'll sort of have a brief, quick chat, and then we'll wrap things up. Alberto, no longer. It ain't happening, Alberto. Sorry, buddy. Windowed packaging is back. I don't know how I feel about it, if I'm being perfectly honest. I like the last version of the boxes. Like, I like this version. I don't think there's anything wrong with this. And because I'm ordering everything online, I'm not going through paint apps anyway. I'm not sort of searching for the best face print. I'm not nitpicking some of those details. So as far as, not being able to see what's in the box, I've never been worried about that. Now, I do like these because I think it's a happy medium between what I really liked about the initial packaging and what I liked about the current packaging. I think they've gone back to the star cutout, but with the black and blue and kind of darker colors of the current packaging. So these are kind of deluxe figures. This is a bigger box. I'm not 100% sure that that's the star back, because you can see, you can see down here that star gets extended quite a long ways across the box. But if this were a standard figure and, like half the size of this box, I think we may be back to that star shaped cutout on the package, which I really, really liked. I thought that was a cool detail. I think it made the package look pretty dynamic. At the end of the day, I open them all, and I kind of don't care. At the end of the day, it's about the figures, and the packaging is kind of a bonus. And if the packaging is great, that's cool. And if the packaging absolutely sucked, and I got Mutton Junkyard in a brown paper bag that somebody had written on in Jiffy marker, Mutton Junkyard, I'd be okay with that too. There is the Metalhead box. You see all the missiles. You see all the blast effects in there. Some glare on there. So that's another picture without the glare. He's got this one's a little bit better because it's a little bit brighter. You can see the helmet in there. You can see the alternate head with the goggles. So the alternate hair. So the hair is removed. My assumption is that the hair comes off and you can put the helmet on, or the helmet comes off while the hair is still off, and you can put the hair with the goggles on. So I don't think the goggles are a separate piece. I think the goggles are part of one of the sort of hair pieces, if you will. Then he comes with a couple guns, a knife, and then the rest of that loadout. Notice down the bottom there, and I think the 1027 name reveals, which we didn't talk about, were Iron Grenadiers and Raptor. So now that we've got the Iron Grenadiers name reveal, I think they had to put that name out there because Metalhead's box says Iron Grenadiers right on the front. So we're getting Iron Grenadiers, and Metalhead is one of the Iron Grenadiers as well. He's one of Destro's little crew. So that's cool. As anybody that sort of watched the channel before, if you've sort of heard me talk about all these versions of like Crimson characters that we're getting, the Crimson Guard, Crimson Viper, Crimson Bat, I love these little sub teams within Cobra. I've never been a huge Dreadnoks guy, but I love the Dreadnoks, if that makes sense. As a sub team, like as a group, I love the Dreadnoks. I'm happy to get Iron Grenadiers. I'm happy to have, these factions within Cobra, because I think now you don't even just have to have G.I. Joe versus Cobra. You can have, Cobra troops versus Iron Grenadiers. You can have that Cobra Civil War kind of thing now, and then buy Python Patrol stuff. So that's a whole different thing. But yeah, we're back to windowed packaging, plastic packaging, which I think looks great. And I'm looking forward to sort of what they do next, because I think, you know, if this is what we're getting with these two, it stands to reason that any figures after these theoretically will be window boxes. So there you go. All right, let's see what we got in the comments. Star says maybe cardboard is more expensive than clear styrene right now, so they're going with window packaging to cut costs. Okay, short history lesson for you, Star, because I know that you probably aren't paying attention to this. Hasbro went to packaging that was plastic free as a kind of like green thing. You know, Hasbro, like brand wise, went plastic free packaging. There was a lot of pushback among collectors that said, you know, I want my action figures in a window box. I want to be able to see it. Inbox collectors, so on and so forth. Hasbro kind of pulled back a little bit, and they said, okay, collectors items like action figures can get the plastic. The truth is, cardboard is more expensive than plastic. It was, you know, Hasbro was kind of putting their money where their mouth was. As much as people don't want to hear that, that was true. The plastic packaging is cheaper to make than the cardboard stuff. So it is what it is. But anyway, AI, I agree with you on the package design, but we needed clamshells back. The baggie of accessories just plain sucks, and some stuff was bent. Yeah, that's a good point. I did get a lot of things. I did get, you know, a lot of swords and things that were definitely not straight. Some worse than others. I'm trying to find something. I don't have anything on my desk that's like super bent. Big Ben's gun was super bent, but now I don't know where to put it. Anyway, that was one that recently I opened, and I was like, this is bonkers. Like it had quite a curve to it. So yeah, that's a very good point. Straighter weapons, I think, is something that we'll probably get out of those packages. Jeff Morris, I think the Windows coming back is good for the inbox collectors, but I open everything, so it does not matter to me. I'm the same way. The straight weapons is maybe the one thing that is cool and might be sort of a benefit. I used to shop like that, pick the best paint application from the shelves. Most of the stuff I ordered have great paint applications already, but if I'm not happy with it, I'll customize it. No biggie. Yeah, when I was buying everything off the peg, I would take way too long. But now it's like I order one ships, it arrives, I open it, I go, this is great. If the paint apps are terrible, so be it, because I'm only getting one. I wonder if this means we are getting Destro with his despoiler. I think we could, right? I think we definitely could. Again, you know, that $100 price point for the Vamp, you know, the $80 price point for Serpentor and the Air Chariot. I think we could see a despoiler for around that $80 to $100 price point. It's the right size, you know. I think nobody would be upset to get that gold, the Destro with the gold head packed in with the despoiler. That's the way, you know, that's the way it should be. We've already got Destro. He's not that hard to get. You know, you get Retro Destro too if you missed on the first wave one. So that would be, I think that's a good way to get that version of Destro out into the line and get the despoiler out. Has Destro ever been seen unmasked? Yes. I've never seen a metal mask that changes with facial expression. That's talked about often. Nanomites. It's nanomites. It is a very, very high-tech mask. Very high-tech. Luke, glad to see that it is Iron Grenadiers on the box. I don't understand why Zarana and the upcoming Buzzer and Ripper don't say Dreadnoks. It says Cobra for them, but for Zartan, it was Dreadnoks on the box. Really weird. I agree 100%. I said that as soon as, when we got Zarana, I thought, okay, well, maybe Zarana's one off. Maybe they'll go back to the Dreadnought box. They went out, they took the time to do the art, to come up with the color palette, and to do everything like that. Why wouldn't you use it again? It doesn't make sense to me. The only thing that I can think of, and this is a stretch to me, even as somebody that thought of this, is that maybe people don't identify GI, like beyond GI Joe and Cobra. Maybe casual fans just don't identify, other factions. But it's still in the same box, and it still looks the same. It's still on the same shelf. So, yeah. Anyway, I think Destro and his Despoiler is the next PulseCon exclusive this next September. Could very well be. I could see that. I could see that for sure. Because, like I said, I think it's kind of a no-brainer. Like it's an easy figure with vehicle. It's an easy one to do as an exclusive too, because let's be honest, there's a couple versions of Zartan, there's a couple versions of Destro out there already. You can't really be that upset when effectively a repaint is an exclusive, right? I felt the same way about the Crimson Strike Team. Who's going to be upset that a repaint of the twins and a repaint of Baroness is an exclusive? You don't need it. You don't need it at all. You could buy the standard version. You could buy the retro version of Baroness. Like, all three of those figures were basically available when that exclusive came out. So you can't really be that upset that it's exclusive. I think you can still order it too. So like, what's the argument for that not being a good choice as an exclusive? Alberto, I gotta look up Destro's Despoiler now. It's a little flying ship. It's black. It has a little cannon on it, and that Destro has a gold head and a little cape. He's a fancy boy. I would love to see soft goods on that. I would love to see soft goods on a lot of figures. I know that with the 60th anniversary figures, we're getting some soft goods, so I'm pretty hyped for that. Those 60th anniversary figures look really, really good too. Jeff Morris, I would like the Red Baroness, but don't want the twins, so I didn't get that set. I didn't get that set either, because I feel the exact same way that you do. I would love to get that Red Baroness, but I don't need it. The black one looks fantastic. There wasn't enough in that set that was like unique for me to feel the need to buy it. That alternate head, the like updated head sculpt, looks really, really good. The sort of windblown hair looks really, really good. But it doesn't look really, really better than the one that I have on my shelf. So, Mezco 112 Joe's. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go that route. Like I said, I might get Snake Eyes. I'll wait for the reviews. I don't think they've revealed Timber, and that's kind of the deal breaker for me. Depending on how good they make Timber will be whether or not I get Mezco Snake Eyes. Joey, I chose Spider-Man 2 over getting the Crimson Strike Team. Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. I chose more Animal Warriors of the Kingdom over the Strike Team. I chose a different line entirely. So that's me right now in a nutshell. The G.I. Joe, I love the G.I. Joe stuff, but like I said, I don't need to have all of it. I'm not a completist. I was going through my collection the other day. I realized that the first one that I missed was number 40, I think it was. So I went 1 through 40 as not a completist. But then once they got into Python Patrol and Tiger Force, that's when I started skipping a few. And I've now skipped a couple like mainline figures. I skipped Copperhead. I skipped mole rats because I just don't need them. I think there's a few more that I skipped, but now I can't even remember. And guess what? I don't feel like I've missed out on anything. So buy what you like and skip the ones that you don't, and just ignore the fact that they have numbers on them if you can. If you can't, maybe don't buy any because they all have numbers. This Crimson, the His Tank figures are numbered, and the His Tank numbers are 99, 100, and 101. That's gonna drive some people crazy. Joey, I bought Rakondo just because I wanted his shoulder holster for a custom. I'm debating whether I think you mean the Tiger Force Rakondo. I'm thinking about buying that Rakondo because I want the torso with the black shirt with the like short sleeves, because I think that would be a great buck. But I don't want the legs and I don't want the head. Fodder piece problems. Am I right, Joey? Star seems AWOC will be easier to get the entire line. Joe's just have so many out there already. Yeah, I mean that's part of it, is that like I stopped buying, you know, to sort of Joey's point, right? Like fodder pieces, I stopped buying extras of GI Joes. I now kind of buy the figures that I need for my display, for my shelf. I'm still buying, you know, 2 or 3 or 6 troop builders, depending on what they are. But I'm not buying extra figures just for fodder. I am still buying AWOC figures for fodder. The Animal Warriors of the Kingdom stuff is just so much fun to play with. It's so much fun to play with. I absolutely love it. But yeah. All right, that's all I've got. Any other questions? Any other comments? We're at hour and 15. I'll go a few more minutes if there's anything else you guys want to chat about, GI Joe related. Otherwise, I will wrap things up and call it a night. I will be back tomorrow. To the point of AWOC, I will be chatting with Brick. We got another episode of Monkey Business tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. We will be talking about what we sort of think might be coming in AWOC in the near future, which should be fun. If you're into AWOC, if you're not, tune in. Maybe you'll hear something you like. It should be fun. It'll be a fun video. I just enjoy talking with Brick. So. Bang! I love that. I love that about Metalhead. They like to fire his rockets. They're like voice activated rockets, and he has to yell "bang" to fire his rockets. It's the most absurd thing, but I love it. I love that it's like just as ridiculous as it is. There's an episode in the Deke cartoon. There's an episode where Metalhead's grandmother thinks that Metalhead is like the leader of Cobra. And it's such a great episode because it's just so stupid. Star says, what's the current state of G.I. Joe in media right now? Any new shows or comics out or coming soon? Yes. Skybound, so Image Comics picked up the G.I. Joe comic book, issue 301. So they're continuing the like it's still Larry Hama writing G.I. Joe. Issue 301 comes out, I believe, in November. I don't know the exact date, but should be good. I look forward to it. I know that there's a lot of people that are kind of like bored by this sort of continuation. So if you're bored of the continuation, there's also like a Duke one-shot coming out. There's a Cobra Commander one-shot coming out. And there's bound to be other stuff. Knowing Skybound, they'll bang out miniseries and they'll do other stuff. But I'm skipping all that stuff. I just want issue 301. And Joey's saying November 15th for 301. So not too far. We're a couple weeks away. We're a couple comic book Wednesdays away from issue 301. Luke says, thanks for a great show. It was fun hanging out with you guys. Remember, bang, bang, bang. Yeah, man, such a great character. Joey, Duke and Cobra Commander are 5-issue minis, not one-shots. Okay, I stand corrected. Like I said, Skybound comes through and does miniseries. Star, I hope his voice rigged for him. Otherwise, anyone with a bone to pick could come up behind him and just yell bang, and then no one wants to be around him. I think it is, but I don't know that it ever came up. I don't know that I would assume that it would be. I think in a modern version of him, they would have to mention that. But Alberto says, congratulations for reaching the 500 mark. Thank you, Alberto. And to that point, I will mention that I will be giving away a couple G.I. Joe figures. I have a retro carded Snake Eyes, as well as a Profit Director Destro that I can't get rid of any other way than giving it away. So I'm going to be giving those away on my channel. In order to be eligible to win those, you will have to subscribe to the channel, obviously. Go to the 50th episode of Highly Articulated and comment your favorite character from your favorite IP. That's it. Subscribe and comment. I will do in that draw November 4th. You do have to be watching to win. So feel free to jump over, obviously, when we're done. Don't go now. Don't go yet. When we're done, jump over to the episode 50. Comment on there. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll be giving those things away. Cats, some cats. Yeah, imagine if your voice activated missile launcher was not attuned to your own voice. It's like when you say, "Hey Alexa," in someone's house and it just like goes off. Ay, that would be chaos. Anyways, guys, it's been a pleasure. It's been fun. It's always fun to hang out with you guys and chat. We'll do this again soon, I hope. I'm thinking the next time will probably be when that his tank shows up. Because I think that's worthy of a proper episode. So stay tuned for that. I'll post it in the Facebook group. I will post the notification on the channel as well. So you will have fair warning before I open my his tank for sure. And on that note, we're gonna wrap it up. It's always fun to hang out with you guys. It's always fun to chat. I will see you guys all again very, very soon, hopefully. And until then, bye-bye.